Spartacus was a real-life historical figure who was best known for leading a slave revolt against the Roman Republic in 73 to 71 BCE. Little is known about his early life, but it is believed that he was born in Thrace, a region in modern-day Bulgaria, and sold into slavery as a young man. Spartacus was trained as a gladiator, and he was sent to fight in the arena of Rome. Along with a group of other gladiators, later he staged a daring escape in 73 BCE, and they fled to the nearby mountains, where they were joined by other slaves and runaway gladiators. Under Spartacus's leadership, the rebel force grew in size and strength, and they began to launch attacks on nearby Roman towns and cities. The Roman army was slow to respond, and the slave army was able to inflict a series of devastating defeats on the Roman legions. As news of the revolt spread, other slaves and dissatisfied individuals flocked to join Spartacus's army, and it soon became a formidable force, numbering in the tens of thousands. The slave army swept through southern Italy, capturing several major cities and threatening Rome itself. Spartacus is primarily known for leading a slave revolt against the Roman Republic rather than for any specific battles he fought in. However, during the course of the slave rebellion, there were several notable battles in which Spartacus and his army of slaves and gladiators faced off against the Roman legions. One of the first major battles of the slave revolt was fought in 73 BCE near the city of Capua. Spartacus and his army were able to defeat a Roman army led by Gaius Claudius Glaber, and they captured several Roman prisoners who were then forced to fight as gladiators for the rebels. In the following year, Spartacus and his army defeated two more Roman armies, one led by Praetor Verinius and the other led by Consul Gellius Publicola. And these victories gave Spartacus's army a reputation for invincibility, and they continued to attract more slaves and gladiators to their cause. However, the tide began to turn against the rebels in 71 BCE, when they were defeated in a series of battles by the Roman general Marcus Licinius Crassus. In one particularly brutal battle near the city of Lucania, Spartacus and his army were surrounded by Crassus's forces, and they were ultimately forced to flee. Spartacus and his army continued to fight on, but they were ultimately defeated in a final battle in 71 BCE, and Spartacus was killed in the battle, and his army was effectively destroyed. Despite their defeat, however, the legacy of Spartacus and his rebellion lived on, inspiring other slave revolts in the centuries that followed. Despite their initial successes, the slave army was eventually defeated by a well-organized Roman army under the leadership of Crassus. The story of Spartacus has been romanticized in literature and film, and he has become a symbol of the struggle of freedom and dignity in the face of oppression. His story is a reminder that even in the most desperate circumstances, people can find the courage and determination to resist their oppressors and fight for their rights. Spartacus met his end during a final battle of the slave revolt. The Roman Republic in 71 BCE, after several years of leading a slave army and defeating multiple Roman armies, Spartacus and his army were finally defeated by the Roman general Marcus Licinius Crassus. According to the ancient historian Appian, during the final battle, Spartacus led a charge against the Roman lines in an attempt to break through and escape. Despite his bravery, he was eventually struck down by a spear thrown by a Roman soldier. With their leader dead, the slave army ultimately defeated, and the rebellion came to an end. However, the exact circumstances of Spartacus's death are not entirely clear, and there are different versions of the story. Some ancient sources suggest that Spartacus may have died earlier in the battle, while others suggest that he may have been captured and executed after the battle. Regardless of the details, Spartacus's legacy lives on, and his story has inspired countless of people throughout history to fight for freedom and justice in the face of oppression.